So this podcast is going to give you a clarity about should you or will you be building an in-house team, or you should outsource your job to agency or consultant, or you should use a hybrid. When to shift and when not to shift. What is the right math for doing it? I'm going to discuss that in this podcast. Okay. So most of the time I see CXOs, leaders, founders, they think that in-house agency is much more beneficial, but the real cost is actually not hiring. Okay, the real cost is not having a team within your company. The real cost is retention. Can you hold your team for a longer time? Because average, I'm going to show you certain data which average 3.5 years time your best team leaves. Now what happens? So when your best team leaves, what is the amount of loss impact your organization sees is what we are going to discuss here. So stay tuned till last and you will be able to understand, and then you can take a call which is right for you. Okay. So I'll give you a simple math about if you have a 6 to 20 people's team, and let us do a math about 6 team. The 6 people team in your organization will cost a salary between 80 lakhs to 1.2 crore. Benefits of 30% of provident fund, leave, parks, and all those stuff. 28 to 40 lakhs. Next comes to tools, software which you're going to give them to work on it, laptops, systems, subscriptions of XYZ software tool which they'll be using. And last is recruitment and onboarding. It takes time because HR is involved, time cost, manpower to someone who is coming in the team, training them, and then they are getting into the job. Sometimes last moment they also people don't join. So there's a cost which comes around 6 lakhs to 10 lakh rupees in a year. So, and office equipment and all the stuff, infrastructure, AC, all the per seat cost is around 8 lakhs rupees per year. So if you do a total math of a 6 people team, it gives you around 1.3 crore to 1.8 crore impact. It is not the impact of organizations versus the people or team you're hiring. Now, if you give this shift to an agency, what happens is that you straight save around 40 lakh rupees a year. I'll tell you the math, because there is no salary is covered, right? So there is benefits or perks are also covered, tool software covered, recruitment issues and harassment of waiting time, joining time solved, and also the most important, if someone leaves, you will have a very difficult time replacing them, but agency or our consultant will able to immediately replace it. So these are the 4 or 6 costs which will impact your business. So around 40 lakh rupees you can save yearly. So this is a headcount math for a 6 people team. You can make it 20 team or 30 people team. You will see the same difference, and you will see that is the reason sometime it is beneficial to have outsourcing and consultant working beyond your organization. Okay, next talk about the second point. So what you save every year is number one, 190 to 1.4 crore of savings gap because agency versus in-house team per year fully loaded. You can also have a low structure cost, okay, because of this, and less than 3 months is your switching cost. So if you hire someone, and whereas if you ask an agency to we will talk about the retention trap. So what I mean by that is that if your in-house team is good, and if they are gone by every 3 years, which Gallup gives a data at around 2.5 to 3 years time, most of the people leave. Annually, this percentage is around 18 to 20% attrition rate, right, by the industry. So if this is the rate happening, so what is the loss or what is the recovery time and what are the impact you're getting? Let me demystify this. You can see I just put the map in down line. You can see is that the performance marketeer, if there's a performance marketeer, if there's a designer, if there's a SEO guy, if there's a marketing lead, there's a strategist, whoever, so these are the team. So suddenly what happens, your performance team, if the guy leaves, the ROIs will drop, and you will suddenly see your team will have a difficult time to get that knowledge, right? Generally, to get a guy of same caliber who has been working with your organization for almost 3 years, generally take 4 to 8 weeks time. So the cost is around 12 to 20 lakh rupees, right? There's a cost of the time you are losing. You may lose the client also, during this time. Or if you have an in-house team, you will find it difficulty to, and there are a lot of protocols of hiring in a company. Agency do it much more faster than any other typical large organization. Second, if the designer is going, the campaign, the ethos, the understanding, all that things go out of the window. So what happens is this is also around 4 to 6 to 10 weeks, time. You also lose around 8 to 15 lakh rupees. Next is the SEO guy leaves, or the strategies leaves. Average is like 2 to 6 months is a time, and organic traffic will fall, your content design will fall, your strategy will fall, your campaign, because everything is that guy managing within your team. But vis-a-vis, when it comes to the agency, the shift happens much more faster. You don't realize that the loss. Even if there's a loss, it gets mixed up because of the specialized team comes in and takes over. So these are the math. So around 60 to 70% profitability by 2 to 3 people departure every year is a issue. So to counter it, it sometimes takes 6 to 12 months time to get a right person in that internal team. Sometimes I've seen in marketing heads and all leaving, and someone will join. Generally take 8 to 9 months time because he's joining. He may not join at the last moment, and so on and so forth. So these are issues when in-house team versus an external team. Okay. Now let's talk about the second point. So the biggest gap, or the biggest pattern gap I saw, is that while there are a lot of friends who have agency, there are a lot of agencies whom I worked during my corporate life. There's the biggest gap, and while running consulting for the last 9 years, this is the biggest gap I understand. I realize. I'm going to share with you. Number one is a data exposure. So if you are looking for 100% data, someone who is exposing, which means your internal team is only exposed to your data. So even if you're a furniture company, your internal team is only knowing what is happening in the furniture business, or if it's an FMCG business, or it's a durable business, XYZ. But the same team in an agency, they are exposed to 20 different or 50 different clients they are working. So their exposure to data, understanding data, is far more better than an in-house team. This is non-debatable. In fact, I have seen. I don't know if you agree or you don't agree. You can put it in the comment. Second is the time. The test velocity is that with a limited time and budget. Internal team takes a lot of time to do anything which is faster. A lot of approvals process, things are required. But in terms of agency, the scale happens very fast, right? Across all things, much more faster. Next is benchmarking, in the sense when your internal team is doing benchmarking, they're only doing benchmarking with your competitions, mostly estimate or guesstimate, whatever you call it, within that. But it comes of industry, when it comes to the agency or consultant, what happened, the benchmark is industry. Sometimes they bring lots of insight and other things which your internal team will not able to understand or figure out, because they are within a stipulated time they're working, right? And research becomes a problem. Next is a ramp up time. So most important part is that in-house generally takes 3 to 6 months, sometimes more. This is the average I'm talking. I've seen more than 7-8 months time to hiring. But the same problems can be resolved when you outsource a consultant or an agency. Generally 2 to 4 weeks time they will replace, and you will get your people. So that gives you a huge amount of advantage so that your business don't get impact, right? And the last one is scaling down, which is quite horrifying. If you suddenly want to scale down, if your team, you have to lay off, or you have to remove, or you have to fire people because the business is low or whatever. But when it comes to agencies, since many agencies are in a contractual format, they have a freelancer working with them. So there's a stopgap, or there's a pause time for an agency or a consultant. You can always ask the consultant or an agency to stop for a time, but you can't just fire your people for 6 months or 8 months saying we don't have much work, or there's a loss or whatever happening, or there's some pause time. You go home and we don't need you. You can't do that. So this is the biggest advantage or disadvantage of having an internal team and as well as an external agency. And the next topic is about the AI, which I'm going to talk right now. So generally, if there are 5 in-house problems, AI solve 4 of them. Okay, so I'll take one by one. Knowledge generally works out when it comes to in-house team, whereas in AI knowledge base, everybody in all SOP or brand guidelines, everybody it's permanently sorted. It doesn't work out. Someone leaves or the system because that depository AI will remember, right? So knowledge transfer gap always happen. So someone leaving, another one coming. So most organizations do a handover. So this handover time is 1.5 months or 2 months or 3 months, and we all know evidently this KT doesn't happen, right? And there's always a gap. So when there's a AI in the middle of this layer, so this KT becomes easy. Number one. Next is slow ramp up. AI onboarding become much more faster. Assistant become much more faster. What you can do in 2-3 months, AI can do it in just 2-3 weeks. Okay. Second, the third point is a single point failure. So what happens whenever there's a team or an agency? Sometime one guy do mistakes and the entire thing fall flat. But whenever there's an AI which is within the workflow, which holds all the keys, so your failure rate is much more reduced because your dependency is not because of 1 or 2 people. It is AI who is managing the workflow. So the fourth one is highly execution cost, which is high execution cost, which I can tell you in the sense like 60 to 70% of the repeated jobs or reports or research or whatever thing, AI can get it sorted. So you don't need human being in-house or external agency to do it, or you can have this system within your organization which does all this work. The fourth one is brand consistency, right? All the AI brand guidelines or consistency is easily done irrespective of the system. AI is inside your agency or AI system is inside your in-house team. If you use AI, then this layer can be easily solved. And the biggest advantage is consistency of the content or consistency of the brand is from top to down level. Whenever the output happens, it is absolutely as per the SOP of the brand guidelines. So these are 5 points which I think out of 5 points, 4 points AI can easily resolve, which is not possible for human being to keep this consistency, be it in internal team, because these are not in your hand, right? So people will come and people will go with their knowledge, but you will not be able to extract and keep that knowledge in the system as it is and do an handover to the next guy. It is an impossible task, and I've seen in 30 years of my experience, it generally don't happen. Okay, we think it is happening, we assume that it has happened, but actually it doesn't happen. Okay. So there's another math I'll give you in the stage wise, which you can use in your business, is that if you're looking for early launch, if you're looking for early cost effective speed, specialized people who should help you, you should hire a consultant or an agency, outside agency is the easiest way. Moving to agency is a much more smarter move than building your team, because your team will take 6 to 8 months time to do mistakes, learn, and then by the time maybe your product may fail or your GTM may fail, right? So this is one. Second is, if you're around 5 to 50 crore or 100 crore bucket, where you should have an in-house as well, hybrid you can use in-house as well as a consultant, where in-house agency and the people can do the controlling of the brand and the consultant can do the expertise job, right? So that's a hybrid model. The third is in-house or hybrid is also important, where you're looking for when a brand is already matured. When the brand is already matured and your volume is justified, brand intimacy is actually managed, knowledge retention is happening, I think you should have a hybrid one also. And the last one is when you absolutely depend on agency, where you want to reduce, if you have a long term, if you really want to have a long term commitment, then agency always helps you, because agency brings or a consultant bring other knowledges like a polymath, other knowledges into your system, which is not possible for internal team to get matured because they come with very limited experience, whereas external team, they have 10x the total experience which your brand get benefited. So that's my take. You can give your comment if you agree or you disagree.